this is going to be the re-edited version of this guy, going from the 4 rod to the 5 rod. And yes, ever since I put in the new strike spring, this thing's been working great. I've not had any issues with it other than I have to wind the chime on Wednesdays. That's it. I just have to wind it up a little bit, and then it lasts the rest of the weekend, and then I wind it Sunday, and then it works fine. So the whole process of that cassette tape, I'm just cutting that out from the intro to when I actually start this. So then after this finishes, we'll go on to the actual time lapse of it again. And the reason I'm cutting out is because I'm not in California anymore. I'm back home. This was filmed, I think, in March. I don't know, remember. But it was then I edited it here, then March, and then now we're here. Everything's cut out. And then, so, here we go. Alright, so what I'm doing right here is I'm taking a photo of the parts movement before this, and to make sure that I keep all the spacers aligned to where they were in their original position from transferring this over from a 4 rod to the 5 rod movement. And then after I did that, I started taking it apart. And now that I'm starting to take it apart, I start putting the pieces lined up together so that I know that if I need to put it back together, I know what it is supposed to be in its orientation, so I will get it correct. And now I'm starting to put on the lifting arms, I will call them. But then I see that it's not lining up, and then I have to take it off, and then I have to put it in a few spacers. And this is a reoccurring problem that I have to keep fighting with every time. So now that I started putting them on, I start looking for the chime barrel, which is what I call it, and then I see if it's lined up. And I notice that it's not really lined up perfectly the first time. So then I have to figure out what spacers I need to move around, and then I figured out how to fix it. And then I do this once on camera, a second time off camera, but now I'm looking at it and seeing what's wrong, and then I figure out what I need to change over, and then I may have to change it over again another time. And this is also a time to mention that this is at 4 times speed playback. This is supposed to be a 2-hour clip, but this is condensed down to 5 minutes, and it's much faster. I normally record this at 16 times playback, but I decided to record it at 4 times just because I knew I was going to do it like this. So now after I thinking I got it all correct, I screwed the plates back onto each other, made sure that they all lined up, and they were lifting correctly. And then I wind the movement with the Gustav key, because that's the only key that works with it, because it was very low on power and it wasn't working. So now I'm just testing it and making sure it plays through the quarters just fine, and it counts the hour correctly. And winding the strike side, because I've apparently forgot to wind it. And this will be a reoccurring problem later. These old New Haven movements, they just want to die. They don't want to live. One problem I had with this is that the suspension spring on it was cracked and it was falling off. And it had a good suspension spring from the old movement, so it was probably like a few days after I released the short and the New Haven video on it, I had to take it out again for the 6th time in a row to fix the suspension spring because it snapped off finally by accident. It was by accident. I didn't cause it, it was just by taking it out. So now here comes the tricky part that I have to do. I have to put it all together, and I also have to get everything lined up. And fun fact about this is that I can use my Gustav key on square screws, and it will work. But one thing I forgot to put in the first time was a gear that interacts with the silence or chime function. So now after realizing that, I have to take it out again. I have to fix the screws on it to put it onto the mounting plate of the face. And one of these screws was always a tough little thing to put back in. And then after I realized I didn't put the gear in the first time, I had to go and figure out where it was, and I had to go and place that back. And then it's just fighting where everything goes, and then after that, it's mostly just fine-tuning it, making sure it works. And I wanted to put on the original hands that it had, and the one that it had on the movement on the top right, it had darker hands than what it was on the old movement. It had like a hands that were similar to the numbers and the case, so I wanted to put those on there because those were much nicer, and also because they were larger and rather than smaller like the other one was. So now just putting the screws back on and testing it. And after looking at the suspension spring, I was thinking maybe I should change it, but then it was working at that time, so I decided just to leave it. And soon enough, I was able to put it back in the clock off camera because that would have been really bad camera angle. So then after that, it worked much fine, and that's the end of the time lapse. And with that, thank you for watching.